So I think everyone can hear me. Thank you for joining me today at my talk about the collaborative economy. I would like to explain a little bit how we can go to a new kind of economy based upon a tokenized system. My name is Jantine Derksen. I live in Berlin. I live there since 7 years. I moved there to work in the blockchain ecosystem. Berlin has a lot of protocols, a lot of people involved in the blockchain ecosystem, and I joined basically working in it because I think that blockchain technology can create like a shift in the way we interact digitally, and that's also something that I would like to explore with you today. So yeah, I'm going to my first slide. So basically, we know that in life we can have zero-sum games, and basically I would like to go over some concepts about what it is a zero-sum game and what it is to have a non-zero-sum game, or as well known as positive-sum game. So basically a zero-sum game is I win, you lose. Pretty easy. And this can be pretty fun. We can have games like that we really enjoy it, but for an economy it's not always the best. So basically if we would go to a non-zero-sum game or like a positive-sum game, then we both win. So in the slide you see a win-win situation. Now the best actually would be if we have something more than that, which would be a synergy, and that would be if we both win, actually the combination of both of us is actually bigger than just the sum of both. So this one we see in the slide on the bottom. Now this sounds all very, very nice, and it's like, okay, let's all go for this, but of course it's not that easy. So what I show you here, I got it from Wikipedia. Basically this is the prisoner's dilemma. Basically, when you would like to create like token systems or any kind of system design where people interact, it's actually really smart to look at game theory. And in game theory, basically, you're modeling how people would interact with certain situations. The prisoner's dilemma is a very famous one. Basically, it means what if you and your friend, let's say, will be interrogated by the police about a certain delict that has been done. Basically, either one of you can be accused of doing it, or basically you will both be accused, but either one of you can say, B did it, my friend did it, and I didn't do it. So you stay silent about yourself, but you say that the other person did it. And this, like, if this happens, like, let's say I am person number A, and I decide not to be silent, but I actually want to accuse my friends, and I convince my friend to stay silent. In that case, as you can see, my friend goes 3 years to jail and I'm free. So basically, for me, the best outcome would be to make sure that my friend thinks that I will stay silent, but actually I will betray my friend. So what you actually can see that cooperation or collaboration is not always in your best interest. In this particular case, it's in your interest to lie to your friend and basically make sure that you will be the one that stays free. Now, this is basically a game of trust, because if you're real good friends, both of you actually will stay silent and you will go only 1 year to jail. This would be, for a friendship, the best outcome. Now, we cannot really design a system based upon trust and based upon friendship. We know that this is not scalable, and also, even if you're friends, it might be that your friend is not so much of your friend. Take 1 second. Basically, when we will go to crypto networks or tokenized networks, we cannot really assume this idea of trust, and we can also not do this on a scalable network. However, we would like to go back to the first slide of saying, what if we could all cooperate and collaborate? So basically, Jesse Walden of A16 Crypto, it's like one of the big investment firms of Andreessen Horowitz in the US. He actually say, what if we could go from a cooperative system to a crypto network system where we are not collaborating for social reasons, but actually for business reasons. And that's something that basically we say that you can reach a collaborative economy by introducing tokens. So, also to go back to what we're dealing with, we're dealing, of course, with a digital environment. So if you want to know how digital environments work, we all know this already from Web 2. Basically, you have the network effect or the platform economy. This is all measured in the amount of users that you basically have. So if you have only 2 users, you can see you have 1 connection. This is not really valuable, but actually it scales pretty quickly, because if you have 5, you have 10, but if you have 12, you already have 66 connections. Now, probably a lot of you, or maybe not, but like if you're entrepreneurial, you tried actually to create maybe a crypto economic system where you are trying to reach this like critical mass of users. Now, the network effect is something that only in rare cases can be monetized upon. And in the case that we had with Web 2, you can actually see that although the networks are pretty large and you're part of it, you actually do not gain any monetary benefit from it. And Chris Dixon, who also works at Andreessen Horowitz, he actually says tokens in this case offer a better way. So basically what we have to look at is the token network effect. And the token network is basically saying, what if you could connect a token towards this effect of the network? So basically, what if the token is actually showing you what is the value of what we saw before, this whole network of nodes of participants in the network? So this, of course, is a good idea, but how do you actually do this? So there's another person I follow online, his name is Simon de la Rouvière, and he actually said what is very important if you want to create something like this, is that actually the value that is produced should be mapped to the own token. Okay, this sounds all a bit theoretical, so I would like to go to an example. So personally, I'm currently working on something that is called a tokenized club. So let me first start with club, because clubs basically is something that we have seen already since thousands of years. People come together and they create a value that is larger than the 2 person coming together. So we go back to the first slide saying we have a positive sum game here because we all come together and we create value. Now what if we then go back to Simon de la Rouvière that says yes, but if you want to monetize upon this club, you actually need to tie it back towards the token. So let's say we create a token in this club. How can we tie it back? An example would, for example, be we all come together and we create something that can be a service or a product and will make money. From the money that we make, we can, for example, say that 50% of this profit that will be made will not only be coming back to us, the persons working for it, but also will be used to buy the club's tokens. So we basically create a market, a demand for the club's tokens to go in value. And what do we do with these tokens? We put it in our treasury. So we say in the end, we will buy back tokens, so the price will go up, and with these tokens, we will actually strengthen our club. So basically what you're doing here is creating a positive feedback loop that will increase the value of your club, which is like a mutual collaborative economy. Now, of course, I gave here an example that says, okay, we are all with the noses in the same direction. We have this token, it will only go up, 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 up. Again, I would like to point out it is not always that easy, because otherwise we, of course, would have everywhere already all these clubs. So I wanted to highlight 2 examples that were pretty big in the blockchain scene, just to go over like why is it not always working if it's that simple. So lately there was a lot of controversy about the eigenlayer airdrop. Now I put here a quote from Twitter that said there was actually a little bit of disappointment around the fact that the token couldn't be transferred and the inability to participate for major regions like the US and China. So of course with tokens we have, on the one hand, we have regulatory issues. So this is something that we should solve as a crypto industry together with the regulatory institutes. But on the other hand, it's also because they actually have seen a lot of, probably know already what I'm talking about, the Ponzi schemes. So basically, what you can see here is that Eigen decided to make the token intransferable. Why is this? It's because they actually don't want that everyone directly sells the token. And this is actually the danger that you can also have when you start a tokenized, let's say, club or a tokenized initiative. And that is something that you can also see with Friends with Benefits. This is the slide that I put underneath here on the bottom. Basically, Friends with Benefits is a social club. What they decided is as well to do something that is called not a fair launch, but basically they sold their token for a lower price to VCs. So if you allocate a certain percentage of your tokens towards people that are actually not with the noses in the same direction, like they are not members of the club, they basically, we know VCs, they look for a return on investment, you have a potential problem there. And the problem here, what you can see, is that the token went down almost 98% from the highest value, which was almost $200. I think we're now at $2.50. The problem here is that basically you cannot play a game of trust with people that actually have other intentions. As we go back to the prisoner dilemma, you know actually that the other person will rat you out. The other person will tell it was you. So basically what you create there is a system of mistrust. So if you actually know that people are in there not wanting to have the benefit of the club, everything will go down. Now the solution can be what Eigen did, saying, okay, I'm just going to make sure that you cannot transfer it. But this also leads for frustration because actually everyone knows we do not trust each other. You want me not to transfer it. In the case of Friends with Benefits, yes, okay, maybe you had to be the quickest, but still everything went down. So, I just wanted to show you then, where are we going in the future? So basically this is a hot debate that's going on, because if we really go back to the idea of collaborative economy, we know it can happen. The problem here is that we shouldn't put in actors that actually have other interests than the mutual growth. So maybe it is we shouldn't do any pre-sales. We should go for a fair token launch. Maybe we shouldn't give the team an allocation of the tokens. No VC influence or a bonding curve. Bonding curve basically is a curve that when you buy it, it's a higher amount that you have to pay than if you directly sell it. So there are all these economic incentives that we can do in order to reach basically the collaborative economy that we can have by focusing on mutual growth. And then basically, of course, you can pull the rug underneath yourself, but basically the idea is that we eliminate, by thinking in a game theoretical perspective, how to eliminate bad actors in a system so that we can, with tokens, transparently all create mutual growth. And I think this was the last slide. Thank you all. I don't know if there are any questions. Yeah.
Thanks for the panel. And one thing about VC, it's true that company sold partially to the VC, but for the company is something that they need to have that kind of support. And the idea is not to give to them too much to interfere with the tokenization of the model. What is the balance between the VC and this kind of token?
Yeah, I think you're right that sometimes you need like initial money in order to make sure that you can actually start the whole network. That's also why, like, of course, you can go for a fair token launch, meaning that the VC can actually not go in there with like a better token condition. And another thing, like what I mentioned very shortly, is bonding curves, for example, or token lockups. Basically, the good thing that we have is that we are dealing with a transparent system. So every one of us, we should do our due diligence. We should become literate, like in what it actually means to have these token networks. And I think our trouble is that we are incentivized basically to lie, what we saw in the prisoner's dilemma, and by telling everyone this is going to be great if you're the one that invested, even if you know that it's not going to be great. So I think what the biggest issue for us as like say the blockchain community is to think a little bit more long term, because if we don't want to get all these regulations on top of us and blocking us, yes, we can actually go for long-term value, but we need to make an honest assessment if we are actually not creating big Ponzi schemes. This is what the VCs basically were trying to do, but we should hold as well these VCs accountable. So if we see a project like this, I think it's very important for us all to point to each other and say this is a Ponzi. And if you want to participate in a Ponzi, it's fine still, but you should be honest about it.
There are some projects that use these new things of bonding curve and some new stuff.
I mean, yeah, there are so many experimentations. I think there's also a project called pump.fun. And basically, because this is coming from the word pump and dump, and they actually say that everything that you do there is a fair token launch. So they already eliminated the fact that you can do like a pre-sale. So there are a lot of these like mechanism design companies. You have transparency, so you can use it as your USB. When they don't talk about it, I think then you start to realize that probably they have some kind of scheme. I think this was it. Thank you all for your attention.